Atlantic cod, Gadus morhua, is the most iconic fish species for Iceland. A large, fast-growing, tasty fish, the cod plays a major role in the Icelandic marine ecosystem. Common catch sizes of cod range from 50 to 100 centimeters, but the largest individual recorded in Icelandic waters was 186 centimeters in length. The growth rate is dependent on food availability and ocean conditions, which subsequently affect maturity and reproduction. In late winter, the cod spawns all around Iceland, but the largest and most important fishing grounds are off the southwestern coast. One of the reasons for the cod's success is its omnivorous eating habits, which varies with size and age. Starting with zooplankton as a juvenile, a mature cod increasingly feeds on other fish. Cod fisheries are conducted all year round, mainly using bottom trawl and longline. Management measures implemented over the years following periods of overfishing have contributed to the recovery of the stock. With an annual TAC, total allowable catch, as low as 130,000 tons during the bleakest period, the TAC has gradually been increased and is now over 250,000 tons. Haddock, Melanogrammus aegelfinus, is a rather large codfish found in high abundance in Icelandic waters, most common on soft seabed. Typical catch size is 50 to 65 centimeters long but can exceed 100 centimeters. The haddock is primarily a benthic feeder, but welcomes capelin and sand eel when available. The life cycle of the haddock is similar to that of the cod. Landings of haddock have ranged from 34,000 to 120,000 tons since 1950. A large share of the catch is exported chilled, especially to the UK. Saithe, pollock, Polachius virens, is another species of a large codfish, generally caught when 50 to 100 centimeters long. Distributed all around Iceland, the saithe can be categorized as benthopelagic. Spawning takes place earlier than for other codfishes. Feeding primarily on krill as a juvenile, saithe adds capelin and sand eel to its diet as it matures. In historic terms, saithe has been a commercially important species for Icelanders. Annual catches have commonly ranged from 30,000 to 130,000 tons. Processed in a similar way as cod and haddock, saithe is primarily exported to Germany, either filleted or headed and gutted, fresh or frozen. Ling, mulva, is common in Icelandic waters. It is usually 65 to 110 centimeters in length when caught, but can grow beyond 200 centimeters, and live to the ripe age of 25. Catches of ling have for decades been in the range of 4,000 to 8,000 tons per year. The blue ling, Mulva berklange, is smaller than the ling and of a sleeker build. The total catch of the blue ling in recent decades has ranged from 1,000 to 6,900 tons. The tusk, brosm, is a common codfish in Icelandic waters, commonly 40 to 90 centimeters in length when caught. For more than 50 years, the annual catch has ranged from 5,000 to 8,000 tons with a few exceptions. Whiting, Merlangius merlangus, has primarily been caught. Cod are large, delicious, cold water bottom fish, with a long track record of commercial harvest and consummation. Atlantic cod, Gadus morhua, can grow to 6 feet in length and 212 pounds, but the average fish today, possibly due to fishing pressures, will be between 4 and 15 pounds. Pacific cod, Gadus macrocephalus, are substantially smaller, at a maximum of about 4 feet and 40 pounds and an average between 5 and 10 pounds. These bottom dwellers prefer rocky or sandy subarctic sea floors up to 1,200 feet deep, with shells, their main food, in abundance. Atlantic cod can be found in seas north of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina in North America, off Greenland and Iceland, and from the Bay of Biscay to the Arctic Ocean, including the Baltic Sea, the North Sea, Sea of the Hebrides and Barents Sea. Pacific cod inhabit waters north of the Yellow Sea in Asia and Santa Monica, California in the USA. Both species form spawning aggregations during the winter and early spring, which is the best time to fish for them. Still or drift fishing the bottom or deep trolling with strip baits made of small fish, squid, crabs, sand eels or capelin will be the most effective. Cod are omnivorous though, and will take jigs, spinners, spoons, bucktails and metal squid imitations happily as well. These are phenomenal eating fish. Due to commercial overfishing, however, they are currently marked as a species vulnerable to extinction. Powered by electricity and operable on 24 or 12 volts, the oil-wind jig reel is a dynamic powerhouse in the commercial fishing industry. Its strength ensures you haul in your catch effortlessly, every single time. With decades of experience in building these reels, and even the earliest models still fully functional and in operation today, these machines have stood the test of time with flying colors. Their strong construction has allowed them to take on the harsh weather and rough conditions of the sea and the demands of fishermen everywhere. Easy repairability is a core requirement to the overall design and is the reason these machines have been shipped to remote corners of the world. For pricing, orders or inquiries, connect with us through phone or email. Our introduction video gives a straightforward walkthrough of the oil-wind jig reel. It highlights the jig reel's build and explains its features. The video shows the easy steps to operate the machine, demonstrating how to start and adjust the jig reel, and it also showcases the customizable fishing program that lets you tailor your fishing style. Adjacent to this tutorial, we've got an exciting live action video. Here, the power of our jig reels is showcased in the picturesque surroundings of Iceland, catching cod with efficiency. In short, these videos provide a concise, useful starting guide to get you on the right foot when you acquire this machine. Dive in and gear up for your next fishing adventure. The jig reel uses a unique jigging motion to attract fish and entice them to bite. You have the freedom to customize the standard fishing program to your liking and specific needs. With the jig reel, your lure and hook options are numerous, ranging from reel or artificial bait to metallic or blade jigs, colored or reflective, or even hooks that swim or jerk and twist. This versatility gives you a competitive edge, allowing you to cater to the specific preferences of your targeted fishery. The jig reel is a highly selective fishing method with extensive applications. Mounting these machines on your gunnel and targeting a variety of ground and pelagic fish is a breeze. They occupy minimal space, leaving room for other essential equipment for longline fishing or more. Equipping your vessel for both longline and jig fishing ensures continuous profitable operations throughout the year. As fishing seasons change, switching methods and adapt is quick and straightforward, and if you then want to store the machines on land, they are lightweight, only 14 kilos, and can be carried to shore with little effort. Equipped with an exemplary fishing program developed in close collaboration with experienced fishermen, the oil-wind jig reel is tried and tested across the globe. The software is adjustable on the fly, allowing for instant customization and tweaking to meet your unique fishing style. Develop your own fishing recipes and fine-tune the fishing style of the machine to your requirements. Whether you want brief pauses during jigging, increased torque with reduced speed, or alteration in the number of jigging cycles, the Jig Reels software can cater to it all. You can cast your line with confidence, knowing that the jig reel is fine-tuned to your specifications. The software is intuitive and user-friendly. But let's face it, if all you want is to start fishing without the fuss of customization, a simple button press is all it takes. Built for simplicity and reliability, these reels require minimal upkeep. With almost no parts susceptible to wear and tear, and a lubricated frictional bearing on the main shaft that only needs rare lubrication, these reels are crafted from stainless steel and aluminium for lasting endurance. With these manual reels, haul in your catch using your own strength and dexterity. Feel the thrill only traditional fishing methods can provide. The manual reel is a timeless fishing tool, and it was built to last a life for fishermen going after mackerel. We have the option of a mackerel stripper, a straightforward solution for easier fishing. Made from durable stainless steel, it's built to last and resist rust, ensuring it stays reliable through countless fishing trips. This handy tool does exactly what it says. It strips mackerel from the hook and channels them straight into your chosen container, whether that's a bucket, gutter, or belt. We've designed it with 3 openings, giving you the flexibility to set it up however works best for you. It is also equipped with a locking mechanism that keeps it securely in place while you're fishing, but folds up neatly when you're done for the day. Simple, practical, and built to make your fishing trips smoother and more versatile. Handlining was used on the Iceland and Orkney fisheries, and by some boats in the southern North Sea for the cod that follow the herring. The home waters fishery lasted from July to October, mostly about 10 to 30 miles from the shore as the herring moved in closer to the land. The handline was about 45 fathoms, 80 meters, long, and at the end was a lead sinker weighing between 5.5 and 7 pounds, 2.5 to 3.2 kilograms. This sinker had a thick iron wire called a sprawl wire fixed through the top at right angles, and to each slightly downturned end was fastened a snood of thinner line about 6 feet long with a single large hook on the end. Sometimes the snood was fastened to the hook by a number of open strands of soft twine, about 3 inches, 7.6 centimeters, long, to prevent the fish biting through the snood. This system gradually fell into disuse and the snood was tied directly to the hook. While fishing, which was during daylight only because the men needed to be able to see what they were doing, the smack was hove to. Each hand worked a line, and usually fishing took place just off the seabed. When the cod were following herring, they were sometimes caught near the surface. The lines were originally baited with halibut, particularly at Iceland, because it had little value, but whelks were later preferred. These were kept alive in the well until needed, at which time the shells would be broken and their leathery texture ensured that they were unlikely to be washed off the hooks. The quality of fishing would vary during the day and some men could go off watch when fishing was slack. They were soon called back up when the fish began to bite. Those on watch would call lines, and those below would turn out and fish. This led to the expression "you ain't done when you're finished." Longlining is a relatively recent method of fishing, having been first tried in the mid-18th century by the fishermen of Harwich. 100 years later Grimsby emerged as the principal longline port. A set of longlines would typically consist of some 180 lines each 40 fathoms, 73 meters, long. making a total length of 7,200 fathoms, 13,167 meters, over 7 nautical miles. Each line would support 26 snoods sufficiently far apart from each other so as to not catch up on one another, typically a fathom and a half, 2.75 meters, apart, making a total of 4,680 hooks. Each hook was about half the size of those used when handlining a species other than cod was sought. Again, whelks were used as bait, and baiting the line took up a good deal of time. The line was shot at dawn, or earlier if the weather was fine, and it was always hauled in the daylight so that the crew could see what they were doing. The line was rebaited as it was hauled. Sometimes 2 shots were made in the day, depending on how heavy the fishing was. The line was shot across the tide downwind so that the snoods would drift clear of the main line. Often the line was shot at half tide, and the smack would heave to until the turn of the tide when hauling would begin. When hauling, the smack would lower the foresails and short tack up the line, hauling all the time. Occasionally the line would be hauled into the smack's boat, but the weather would need to be very good and the sea calm for this to be the preferred method. The fish would be taken off, the hooks rebaited where necessary, and the line coiled carefully and neatly so that it would run free when shot away. Whichever method of lining was used, cod was the prime fish sought, and well smacks were used so as to get the fish to market in the best possible condition. However, before they could be put into the well, their swim bladder had to be pricked to allow it to float in the normal attitude. Having been brought to the surface quickly, the bladder was greatly distended. Other fish would also be caught by longlines, halibut being probably the most numerous. In bad weather, fish would be damaged or die in the well. They would be removed and stored in ice. Longlining trips would rarely last longer than a fortnight. Handline trips to Orkney, Shetland or Iceland usually lasted 14 weeks, but sometimes were longer, even up to one recorded case of 22 weeks. Cod fisher Thorstein Olafsson goes out to sea for an impressive 200 days a year. That dedication to his craft makes him appreciate the time spent with his family all the more. It's wonderful to see that my son is interested in fishing and loves it as much as I do. In fact, I hope that I can pass cod fishing on to the next generation, and he'll carry on the family tradition. Since fishing is so vital to Iceland, it makes sense that all cod from the country is MSC certified. The cod sold by Saithe is caught with long lines, or bottom long line rigs as they're sometimes called. In this method, the fishers feed a long, thin length of line, fitted with branch lines with baited hooks, off the back of the boat. This rig will then be resting on the seabed, where the cod live. Once the entire line has been set out, the fishermen go back to the starting point to begin hauling up the cod again. In the far west of Iceland lies the tiny fishing village of Patreksfjörður, which is home to only 650 people. Fish is at the heart of this tight community, which depends on cod fishing for much of its livelihood. That's why it's so important to Thorstein and his crew that it's done using sustainable methods. Patreksfjörður is a small fishing village with 650 inhabitants. The cliffs east of the village, the Travbjarg, are known for its colonies of auks, puffins and other sea birds. A little further out is Bjargtanga, the most western point of Iceland and Europe. Icelandic cod has a reputation for being one of the very best in the world. It's larger than average, and thanks to its varied diet, the bright white flesh has a pleasantly firm texture. Cod is a common component of fish and chips, but because you can use practically the entire fish, a great example of nose-to-tail cooking, it's an incredibly versatile ingredient in the kitchen. We recommend cod liver, a real delicacy. Fisheries are composed of one or more parts, each of which is entitled to receive an MSC certificate. These parts or units are defined by their target stocks, fishing gear types and if relevant vessel types, and the fishing fleets or groups of vessels. When the term unit of certification is used for fishing units that are in assessment, it refers to the unit of assessment or unit of potential certification. Expand the status below to view the parts that form this fishery. To check the detailed scope, download the latest certificate or open the assessments page to get the latest report. Find out more by visiting our page on fisheries. Information is provided by an independent conformity assessment body as live weight, the weight of species at the time of catch, before processing, and where a fishing season covers multiple years, the end year is given as the reported catch year. Additional information is available in the latest report, see the assessments page. A fishery may choose to define the members of the fishery certificate. These members can be vessels or other client group members, for example companies that own vessels and/or companies that are named as eligible to handle certified product covered within the fishery certificate scope. Please refer to the fishery certificate statement on additional product-specific eligibility criteria, for example product eligibility limitations, eligibility date, exclusive points of landing, and the point where chain of custody certificate is required. Please consult the Fishery Public Certification Report for product eligibility rationale. Atlantic cod is found throughout the temperate and subarctic waters of the North Atlantic. Although it is a single species throughout this distribution, it comprises a multitude of populations that show a varying degree of intermixing. The cod around Iceland are more or less isolated from neighboring cod stocks by the deep water of the Denmark Strait to the west, the Faroe Island Channel to the southeast and the Norwegian Sea in the east. In terms of weight of fish landed in Iceland, cod is the third most important species. Cod are found throughout the Icelandic waters, mostly at depths less than 200 meters but extending down to 500 meters in some areas. The Iceland Sustainable Fisheries (ISF) group includes a range of vessels that catch cod. Around half is caught by trawlers. These range from relatively small vessels operating closer to shore to large factory freezer trawlers that fillet the fish at sea, and freeze the fillets, heads and carcasses. Other fishing methods include longline, Danish seine, gillnet and handline. The main export markets for Icelandic cod are the UK, 16%, and Spain, 12%, with other Western and Southern European markets also important. Exports to Southern Europe are often dried and salted. There is also a large market for dried cod in Nigeria.